Let's be honest, every single one of us was born with potential. Not average, not ordinary potential. But potential alone doesn't change your life. It's like a seed that never gets planted, full of promise, yet producing nothing. Excuses are the silent killers of potential. They sound reasonable, they sound logical, but in reality, they are the language of limitation. Every excuse you speak builds another brick in the wall separating you from the life you could be living. You may not realize it, but excuses are often dressed up as explanations. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. I'll start when things calm down. These words feel true in the moment, but they are really lies wrapped in comfort. They keep you still while convincing you that staying still is justified. The truth is, you will always find a reason not to move forward. But those who win in life learn how to move despite the reasons. When you make an excuse, you surrender your power to change. You hand control of your destiny over to circumstances. It's like giving away the steering wheel and then wondering why your life isn't moving in the direction you want. Excuses are easy because they protect your ego. They allow you to blame something outside yourself so you don't have to face what's happening inside. But growth requires responsibility, and responsibility requires courage. You cannot transform your life until you take ownership of it. The moment you say, "It's my fault," you also declare, "It's in my control." The difference between people who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, it's accountability. Successful people feel fear, they face obstacles, they experience setbacks, but they don't allow those things to become permanent excuses. They use adversity as a teacher, not a reason to quit. They understand that challenges don't come to stop you, they come to strengthen you. Every excuse is a missed opportunity to develop strength. Each time you choose to act instead of excuse, you grow a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little closer to unlocking your full potential. Excuses also have a deceptive comfort to them. They give you temporary relief but permanent regret. You feel safe when you say, "I'll do it later," because it postpones the discomfort of action. But every later you promise yourself becomes a never in disguise. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards those who show up even when they don't feel prepared. The longer you wait for perfect timing, the more your potential fades. There is no perfect time. The only perfect moment is the one you decide to stop making excuses and start moving. Let's be real, excuses are often rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being exposed is not good enough. But the irony is that excuses don't protect you from failure, they guarantee it. You might avoid the pain of trying and losing, but you also avoid the possibility of winning. The pain of effort lasts for a season, but the pain of regret lasts for a lifetime. The people who achieve greatness aren't fearless. They're just willing to act while afraid. They've learned that progress is messy, uncomfortable, and imperfect, but it's always worth it. When you stop making excuses, something powerful happens inside you. You begin to trust yourself again. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build confidence. Confidence isn't built by comfort, it's built by commitment. When you take small steps forward, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. The more you act, the quieter those inner doubts become. Soon, what used to be difficult becomes your new normal. That's how transformation happens, not in giant leaps, but in daily acts of discipline. Look at your life right now and ask yourself, what have I been explaining away? Maybe it's your health, your dreams, your finances, or your relationships. You've been saying, "I'll start when I have more time," or "I'm waiting for the right opportunity." But the truth is, opportunities don't come to the waiting, they come to the willing. Life opens up for those who take action, not for those who make excuses. Every moment you delay is a moment your potential sits unused. You have something inside you that the world needs, but no one will ever see it if you keep hiding behind reasons. The harsh truth is this: excuses don't change your situation, they explain why you're still in it. You can't move forward while defending your limitations. The people who rise in life are the ones who stop arguing for their excuses and start fighting for their future. They decide that their dreams matter more than their comfort, that their purpose is more important than their pride. And that decision, that single shift in mindset, becomes the turning point. When you choose to stop making excuses, you take back your authority. You become the author of your own story instead of a character trapped in someone else's narrative. You begin to realize that everything you need to succeed is already within you. The discipline, the creativity, the resilience. Excuses only exist to blind you from that truth. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you taste freedom from excuses, you'll never settle for limitations again. Because deep down, you'll know your potential was never lost. It was just waiting for you to stop making excuses and start living with intention. Your comfort zone is a quiet, seductive trap. It whispers that you're safe, that you're fine where you are, that change can wait. It makes you believe that comfort is peace, but in truth, comfort is often the cage that keeps you from your purpose. Growth is never born in ease. It's born in tension in the moments when you feel stretched, uncertain, and uncomfortable. Every person who has ever done something extraordinary had to first walk through the discomfort that others avoided. That's the price of progress. Discomfort is the evidence that you're expanding. When you live inside your comfort zone too long, you begin to shrink, you stop dreaming big, you stop taking risks, and you start convincing yourself that you don't really want what you once desired. Comfort zones are deceptive because they don't destroy you all at once. They slowly numb your hunger. You trade purpose for predictability, and before you realize it, years have passed and your potential has gone unused. You tell yourself, at least I'm not failing, but you forget that not growing is a form of failure too. The slow death of potential is far worse than the sting of rejection or the pain of trying. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Every challenge, every new environment, every unfamiliar situation is designed to develop you. When you step outside what's familiar, you begin to see who you really are. You learn what you're capable of, what you need to work on, and what you must let go of. Growth is not about arriving somewhere new, it's about becoming someone new. The version of you that can handle your next level cannot be built inside the safety of your current level. You must be willing to be uncomfortable long enough for transformation to take root. The problem with comfort is that it rewards you with temporary satisfaction but robs you of long-term fulfillment. You feel calm, but you also feel stuck. You're not failing, but you're not winning either. It's like standing in lukewarm water, not cold enough to shock you, not hot enough to move you. You tell yourself that things are fine, but deep down you know they're not. You can feel the quiet frustration, the nagging voice inside that says you were made for more. That inner voice is your potential calling out, asking when you'll stop settling. Comfort zones also attract excuses. The more comfortable you are, the easier it becomes to justify staying the same. You tell yourself you'll take action when things calm down or when the timing is right or when you feel more confident. But none of that ever happens. Confidence doesn't come before the action. It's born from it. Waiting to feel ready is the same as waiting forever. You become brave not by staying safe, but by facing the uncomfortable moments that build courage. Every time you stretch yourself, you expand your capacity to handle more. The truth is, every great reward in life lies just beyond the edge of comfort. That's where faith, creativity, and breakthroughs live. The entrepreneurs who built empires, the athletes who broke records, the leaders who changed lives, they all had one thing in common: they were willing to be uncomfortable longer than everyone else. They understood that pain is temporary, but progress is permanent. What you're afraid of today will become your strength tomorrow if you just keep moving. Think about how muscles grow. They only get stronger when they're pushed beyond their normal capacity. That tension, that burn, that discomfort, it's not a sign of weakness, it's proof of growth. The same is true for your mind, your spirit, and your dreams. Every time you push past fear, you grow resilience. Every time you do something that scares you, you expand your possibilities. Discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. There will always be voices that tell you to stay where you are. People will say, be realistic, don't take that risk, or you should be grateful for what you already have. Gratitude and growth are not enemies. You can be thankful for your current blessings while still reaching for more. Settling is not gratitude, it's surrender. You weren't created to live a small, predictable life. You were created to multiply what you've been given. Playing small doesn't serve the world or honor your potential. So when life starts to feel uncomfortable, don't retreat, lean in. That feeling of pressure is often the sign that you're being stretched into the person you're meant to become. Growth feels like breaking before it feels like building. It feels like loss before it feels like gain. It feels unfamiliar because you're stepping into something new. But every time you choose to push through discomfort instead of running from it, you move one step closer to your purpose. The comfort zone is a silent thief. It steals your dreams not with noise, but with whispers of "you're fine." But fine is not your destiny. You weren't made for survival, you were made for significance. If you want to unlock your potential, you must be willing to trade comfort for calling, ease for excellence, and fear for faith. Because the life you're dreaming of, the one filled with meaning, impact, and abundance, will never be found inside the walls of comfort. It's waiting for you on the other side of courage. The people you surround yourself with are either your wings or your weights. Your circle determines your ceiling because environment always influences elevation. You can have the right vision, the right plan, and the right potential, but if you spend your time with the wrong people, your growth will always be limited. Every conversation you entertain, every piece of advice you accept, every atmosphere you stay in, it's all shaping who you become even when you don't notice it. That's why it's said that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The company you keep is either cultivating your greatness or comforting your mediocrity. Some people in your life are not bad, they're just not built for your next level. They don't think as big as you do, they don't dream as boldly, and they don't move as intentionally. If you continue to seek validation from people who have chosen average, they will always make you feel guilty for wanting more, not because they hate you, but because your ambition reminds them of their own hesitation. The moment you start elevating, you make those around you confront the reality that they've stayed the same. That's why growth often comes with isolation, not because you're better than others, but because you've decided to become better than your old self. Your circle should not just make you comfortable, it should make you accountable. You need people who challenge your excuses, not those who agree with them. The right circle won't let you settle when they know you can do better. They'll tell you the truth even when it stings. because they care more about your destiny than your feelings. The wrong people will keep you distracted, entertained, and emotionally drained. The right people will keep you focused, inspired, and disciplined. You must learn to discern the difference, because where you invest your attention determines what multiplies in your life. If you want to rise, spend time with people who are already where you want to be. Let their habits challenge your comfort. Let their standards stretch your mindset. Don't be intimidated by people who know more or do more than you. Be inspired by them. Proximity is power. When you are around excellence long enough, it starts to infect you. You begin to think differently, speak differently, and believe differently. That shift doesn't happen through willpower alone. It happens through association. Being in the right environment activates the greatness that's already within you. But many people cling to the wrong company out of loyalty. They confuse loyalty with limitation. They think walking away means betrayal, but sometimes walking away means survival. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can care for them without continuing to walk in circles with them. Growth requires separation, and separation requires courage. You cannot elevate and stay surrounded by conversations about failure, gossip, and fear. You can't reach new heights while being pulled down by people who've accepted the ground as their permanent address. There's also another layer to this truth sometimes. You might be the limiting factor in someone else's circle. Maybe you've been the one spreading doubt, negativity, or complacency. Recognizing that doesn't make you a bad person. It gives you the opportunity to evolve. As you grow, your energy changes, and when your energy changes, your environment must change too. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You have to align your atmosphere with your assignment. Real growth environments don't just feel good. They stretch you. They expose your blind spots and call you out when you drift. They celebrate your wins, but they don't let you get comfortable with them. The right people don't compete with you. They complete you. They sharpen you. They hold you accountable to the potential they see inside you. When iron sharpens iron, there's friction, and that friction is good. It means growth is happening. If no one around you ever challenges you, you're not surrounded by iron, you're surrounded by rubber. It's also important to understand that the right circle won't always look like you. Diversity breeds perspective. Don't only surround yourself with people who think the same way you do. That just creates an echo chamber of agreement. You need people who see the world differently, who question your assumptions, who push you beyond what's familiar. Growth requires contrast. It requires exposure to different ways of thinking so you can expand your understanding of what's possible. As you continue to grow, your circle will evolve naturally. Some people will drift away because they no longer resonate with your frequency, and that's okay. Don't chase them, bless them, and keep walking. Every season has its companions. Some are there to teach you lessons, others to travel with you for a lifetime. Wisdom is knowing who belongs where. At the end of the day, your circle is either a mirror or a map. A mirror reflects who you are now. A map directs you to who you're becoming. If you spend your time around people who remind you of your past, you'll stay there. If you surround yourself with people who represent your future, you'll start moving toward it. Protect your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. Your dreams, your focus, your purpose, all of it is shaped by who you allow to sit at your table. Choose your circle wisely because your destiny depends on it. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience. It disguises itself as logic, caution, or common sense, but in reality, it's a thief, quietly robbing you of the courage to live out your full potential. Fear will whisper 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't take the risk, make the call, launch the business, or step into your purpose. It tells you that you're not ready, not good enough, not qualified. It speaks in the language of limitation, and if you listen long enough, you start to believe it. But fear is a liar. It only has power when you give it your attention. Every dream that dies does so at the hands of fear. Not because the dream was impossible, but because the person holding it was convinced to let it go. Fear magnifies everything uncertain, minimizes everything possible. It takes small risks and makes them feel like cliffs. It takes minor doubts and turns them into mountains. But the truth is, most of what we fear never even happens. Fear doesn't live in reality, it lives in imagination. It feeds on your what ifs. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I lose everything? Yet, we rarely ask the other, what ifs? What if I succeed? What if this changes everything? What if this works? Fear focuses your attention on danger, while faith focuses it on destiny. Faith and fear both require belief. One believes in possibility, the other in problems. Whichever one you feed will dominate your life. The tragedy is that most people spend their entire lives feeding fear because it feels safer. Fear gives the illusion of control. You think by not acting, you're protecting yourself. But in truth, you're just protecting your comfort while sacrificing your calling. You might avoid failure, but you also avoid growth. You might avoid embarrassment, but you also avoid excellence. Playing it safe may keep you from falling, but it will also keep you from flying. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Everyone feels fear. The successful, the strong, the confident, they all face moments of doubt. The difference is that they refuse to let fear make their decisions for them. They act while afraid, they speak while nervous, they build while uncertain. Because they understand that fear loses its power when confronted by action. Action is fear's antidote. The more you do what scares you, the less it controls you. Fear often hides behind good intentions. It sounds responsible. I just want to be sure. I'm waiting for the right time. I'll start when I'm more prepared. But those statements are just fear in disguise. You don't need to be ready. You need to be willing. You'll learn more in motion than you ever will in hesitation. The longer you wait to act, the louder fear becomes. Momentum silences fear. Once you take that first step, something powerful shifts inside you. Confidence begins to grow. You realize that most of the obstacles you imagined were only shadows. They had no real power. They were just reflections of your doubts. Fear also thrives in isolation. When you keep your dreams secret because you're afraid of being judged, fear gains strength in the dark. But when you bring your goals into the light, when you speak them out loud, when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, fear starts to shrink. Community builds courage. You don't have to face every challenge alone. When you walk with others who are moving forward in faith, you begin to realize that fear is normal, but it's not final. There will always be a voice that tries to convince you to stop. That voice might sound like wisdom, but you must learn to recognize its tone. Fear speaks in panic, faith speaks in peace. Fear says, you can't handle it. Faith says, you were made for this. Fear says, you'll lose. Faith says, you'll learn. Fear focuses on risk. Faith focuses on reward. The moment you choose to believe in possibility more than in failure, fear begins to lose its grip. One of the most dangerous things fear does is convince you to live small. It doesn't just stop you from doing big things, it conditions you to accept less than you deserve. You start dreaming smaller, asking for less, expecting little. You think you're being humble, but you're actually being held hostage. Playing small doesn't honor the potential inside you, it buries it. The world doesn't need more people living in fear. It needs people bold enough to step into their calling and lead with courage. Fear will always be present, even when you've succeeded. New levels come with new fears. But the good news is that every time you face fear and win, your faith grows stronger. You begin to recognize that the feeling of fear doesn't mean stop, it means go anyway. Fear only has the power you give it. The more you walk in faith, the quieter fear becomes. It will still knock, but it won't be able to enter. When you look back on your life, the moments that changed you most weren't the ones you played safe. They were the moments you acted in courage. The decision to speak up, to start, to risk, to believe. Those moments shape destiny. Fear may whisper, but it cannot win unless you listen. The power to rise above fear has always been inside you. All you have to do is choose faith again and again until fear's voice fades into silence. Potential is a beautiful word, but it means nothing without action. You can have all the dreams, all the ideas, and all the talent in the world, but if you never move, none of it will matter. Potential is like an engine filled with fuel, powerful, ready, capable. But if you never turn the key, you'll stay parked where you are. Action is the ignition. It transforms invisible potential into visible results. Too many people wait for the perfect moment to start, but the truth is the perfect moment doesn't exist. It's not about being ready, it's about being willing. The moment you take action, everything begins to shift. Action creates clarity. So many people are stuck because they're waiting to understand everything before they begin. But understanding doesn't come before movement, it comes through movement. You learn what works and what doesn't by doing. The people who achieve the most in life aren't the ones who know the most, they're the ones who apply what they know consistently. Knowledge without execution is just information. Execution turns information into transformation. Every step you take, no matter how small, activates momentum, and momentum is what separates dreamers from doers. Potential is silent, but action speaks. You can tell what a person values by what they do, not what they say. You can talk about change for years, but until you move, you're just rehearsing your intentions. The world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards consistent effort. Every great accomplishment you've ever admired started with one small action. The book was written one page at a time. The business was built one decision at a time. The transformation happened one choice at a time. There's power in small beginnings because action compounds over time. When you take a single step every day, eventually you've climbed a mountain. Action also breaks fear's control. The longer you think about something, the scarier it becomes. Overthinking magnifies obstacles and minimizes opportunities. The mind loves to protect you from discomfort, so it invents reasons to wait. But the moment you take a step forward, fear starts to lose its grip. You realize the thing you were afraid of wasn't as bad as you imagined. Movement builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from believing, it comes from doing. The more you act, the more capable you feel, and the more capable you feel, the more you act. It's a cycle that leads to growth. Action doesn't mean perfection. Many people waste years trying to plan every detail, afraid to make mistakes. But progress is messy by nature. Every successful person you see has failed more times than most people have tried. Mistakes are not proof of weakness, they're evidence of effort. You don't need to be flawless to be faithful to your calling. What matters is that you keep showing up, learning, and improving. Each failure teaches you something that success never could. The willingness to act in uncertainty is what turns potential into mastery. There's a dangerous comfort in potential because it allows you to feel capable without being accountable. You can live your entire life knowing you could have done great things without ever having to face the discomfort of actually doing them. That's why unrealized potential leads to regret. People don't regret what they tried and failed. They regret what they never attempted. There's nothing worse than reaching the end of your life and realizing you traded the discomfort of action for the illusion of safety. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Taking action also requires faith. When you start, you won't have all the answers. You won't see the entire path. But faith means moving even when the next step isn't clear. The moment you move, doors begin to open that you couldn't see before. The universe responds to motion. When you act with purpose, resources appear, opportunities show up, and people cross your path who can help you grow. But none of that happens while you're standing still. Potential stays locked until action turns the key. It's easy to say, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow is a thief that steals from your future. The only time that matters is now. Every delay drains your momentum and strengthens your doubts. Action is how you break that cycle. Start where you are with what you have and keep building. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Once you move, life starts to align around your effort. Consistency turns small actions into great achievements. At the end of the day, it's not the dreamers who change the world, it's the doers. The dreamers imagine what's possible, but the doers bring it to life. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is filled with actions you haven't taken yet. The life you want isn't waiting on more motivation or better conditions, it's waiting on your movement. Every day you take action, you're building momentum, confidence, and results. You're turning unseen potential into real power. Don't let your gifts stay buried under hesitation. Take the step, make the call, start the thing, because potential means nothing until it becomes motion. Good enough is one of the most dangerous phrases you can ever believe. It sounds harmless, even humble, but underneath it lies the slow decay of greatness. When you say something is good enough, what you're really saying is, I could do better, but I choose not to. It's the moment when excellence stops being your standard and comfort becomes your goal. Every time you settle for good enough, you train your mind to accept mediocrity as a lifestyle. You start losing the hunger that once drove you to improve. You stop challenging yourself, and you begin to shrink into the version of you that feels safe but unfulfilled. Excellence isn't about being perfect. It's about giving your best effort consistently. The difference between people who rise and those who remain stuck is rarely talent. It's the commitment to keep pushing beyond good enough. The person who wins isn't necessarily smarter or more skilled. They're simply unwilling to settle. They show up again, they refine, they improve. They treat every opportunity, big or small, as a chance to sharpen their edge. They don't compete with others. They compete with the person they were yesterday. Good enough is seductive because it brings quick relief. It tells you that you've done fine, that you can rest, that you don't need to push any harder. It soothes you into satisfaction before you've truly earned it. But that temporary comfort comes with a long-term cost, the slow erosion of purpose. You weren't created to live in the land of average. You were designed with potential, precision, and purpose. Settling for good enough dishonors the gift that's inside you. When you have the ability to do great things, but choose not to, you're not playing it safe, you're playing it small. The world doesn't need more good enough thinkers, leaders, or creators. It needs people who pursue excellence with integrity, who put their name on their work with pride, who hold themselves to a higher standard even when no one's watching. Excellence isn't about applause, it's about alignment. It's living in a way that reflects the greatness you were designed for. When you choose excellence over ease, you start to attract opportunities that average effort could never open. Excellence has a fragrance. It's recognizable, undeniable, and irresistible. The good enough mindset often comes from fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of exhaustion. You tell yourself that giving your all might not be worth it if you don't see immediate results. But true excellence doesn't chase outcomes. It focuses on input. You give your best not because of the result, but because it's who you are. Excellence is an identity before it's an achievement. It's the daily decision to act with intention, even when no one notices. It's understanding that greatness is built in the details, in the unseen moments of effort, in the small disciplines that others overlook. There's also a spiritual dimension to this. When you do less than what you're capable of, you're not just shortchanging yourself, you're withholding your gift from the world. Every person is born with something valuable inside them, a talent, a voice, a skill, a calling. That gift is meant to be developed and shared. But when you say, this is good enough, you're burying that gift instead of multiplying it. The world is waiting for your excellence, not your average. Someone's breakthrough, someone's inspiration, someone's transformation could be tied to your willingness to go beyond good enough. You don't reach greatness overnight. It's built brick by brick through repetition, refinement, and relentless focus. Excellence isn't glamorous, it's gritty. It means staying late when others quit early. It means doing one more revision when you'd rather rest. It means learning, growing, and improving even after success. The reward for excellence isn't always immediate recognition. It's internal satisfaction. You know, when you've given your best, and that self-respect becomes the foundation of confidence. You stop chasing validation because you already know the value of your work. Settling for good enough creates stagnation. You stop improving, and life starts to feel dull. But when you chase excellence, you keep evolving, you stay curious, you seek better ways to think, to build, to serve. That hunger keeps your spirit alive. Every new level of excellence reveals another level of potential. It's a cycle of growth that never ends. You begin to realize that the pursuit of excellence is not about reaching a destination. It's about becoming the kind of person who never stops growing. So whenever you feel the temptation to say, that's good enough, pause and ask yourself, is this my best? Is this worthy of the potential inside me? If the answer is no, push a little harder, stretch a little further, give a little more. Not because someone is watching, but because you owe it to yourself to see what you're truly capable of. The greatest version of you is waiting on the other side of good enough. Don't stop until your work, your life, and your legacy reflect the excellence you were born to deliver. Don't let your gift die inside you. Don't let fear steal your fire. The world needs what's inside you, but it only appears when you decide to show up fully. You're not waiting on opportunity. Opportunity is waiting on you.